Hi friends, happy Thursday. Here we are again. You're seeing me for maybe the third time this week. You might have seen me on Monday. You might have even seen me on Tuesday, and now you're getting me again, and I'm not even done yet. I've got tomorrow too. So, how is everyone? I feel like everybody may have woken up today and checked the news and kind of, I don't know, maybe you're waking up with a little bit of anxiety. Maybe you're sitting around at work or wherever you happen to be today and you've got a little anxiety. So hopefully we can cure that for you guys, right? Because you can't catch cooties over the internet. Thank goodness for that, right? You can't catch anything from coming and hanging out and putting together some really fun jewelry. So let this be your out for the day. If you're feeling a little anxious or you're feeling a little nervous in the pit of your stomach, that's okay. We got you. We're here. We're going to create some beautiful jewelry. We're going to spend some time together, and we are also going to have a giveaway. So if you're feeling a little lucky today, stick around because I do have not one, but two really cool things to give away today, and I think you guys are really going to like them. So that is always a bonus. So we are talking about the new beads by the pound. Have you guys seen them? Oh, snap. Okay, so I have them. Of course I do, because we're going to make jewelry out of them, but I have the new Irish green beads by the pound, and you guys, this mix is top notch. And I have a really sneaky suspicion that this is not going to stick around for very long. When people start to realize that the beads by the pound are back and they see them and they see how amazing they are, they're going to grab them up super quick. So if you're interested in the beads by the pound, I would highly suggest kind of jumping on that like right away. Sarah and I were actually just talking about the beads by the pound, and it's probably pretty safe to say that these are going to go quick. So there are two. There are the Irish green, and then there is the Multicolor Mania. Let me double check, make sure I got the name of that one right. I think I do, but you never know with me, you know? Yeah, Multicolor Mania. And they're both amazing, absolutely amazing. We're going to play with the green one today. We're going to create an easy multi-strand necklace. And this is going to be one of those necklaces that uses very minimal materials. And I love jewelry like that, right? Where you don't have to have a whole lot of stuff to put together a really beautiful piece of jewelry that you can wear and feel proud about. So everybody is rolling in this morning. Hi, Julie. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Donna. How is everyone? The giveaway, I don't know. I was gonna kind of wait to mention the giveaway, but I think I might go ahead and talk about that right now, and then we'll get down to the project. So you guys have seen the new Into the Mystic strands. You guys have seen me use the Into the Mystic strands for some jewelry projects, right? We used one strand on Monday to create 3 different pieces of jewelry out of just one strand, which is pretty darn impressive, might I say. And it ended up being absolutely beautiful. And you guys liked that green strand so much that I thought, you know what, let's give that one away. So I have the Into the Mystic green opal strand to give away. But that's not all I have. I also have, hold on, let me bring it up, because there is like a full name for this guy. I should write these things down, right? So the Into the Mystic strand, I always leave out the forest part of the name of this one. So in forest green opal, really I was just leaving out one word. It wasn't that big a deal. So I have forest green opal Into the Mystic strand. This is going to be given away today, but that is not all. I also have this really beautiful toggle clasp. So you guys are kind of getting a little sneak peeky poo today. Peeky poo, really, did I say that? You're getting a sneak peek today because there are some new clasps that are coming to the website super soon, right? But you guys are getting a sneak peek. This beautiful heart clasp is going to be included with the strand, and I made sure to pick out the silver color so it'll go really well with the strand. Although if you guys remember on Monday we used the gold tiara cast with that green strand and got a completely different look. So it wouldn't have mattered either way. Really, it would have been beautiful. But that's just one of the toggles. We're actually using one of the other ones for our design today. So these are coming super, super soon, you guys. So stay tuned for that. Those are coming to the website super quick. But I'm giving, if I can keep it, I'm giving away the toggle and the strand today. So in order to enter to win today's strand and toggle, I would like to know in the comments, okay, in the comments, let me know what your favorite style of Jessie James bead is. And think big now, because there is the Chi-Chi glass, there's check glass, there are boho beads, there are big boys, there are ceramic beads, there are wooden beads. I mean, the list is long, you guys. So I want to know, what are some of your very favorite Jessie James beads to get? And, or if you already have them, like which ones are your absolute favorites, right? And I'm willing to bet that there are probably some of them in this green, Irish green beads by the pound mix. So you guys comment on that, and let's get to this necklace, because I cannot wait to show you guys the beads by the pound. They're so amazing. Okay. All right, guys, here we go. Okay, whoops. All right, so I've poured these out on a tray just so that they are not going to be all over the place. You guys, look at that. Wanda says, Sarah is wearing red. Yes, I am. I actually have on one of my Chiefs shirts today. Go Chiefs. I'm like lost in the off season, right? I don't know what to do with myself on Sundays. Okay, so check it out. This is good stuff. Like, I don't even know. I'm at a lack of words, which is crazy for me. These guys are so beautiful. This mix, when I poured it out, I immediately sent Sarah a message, and I was like, this mix is so good. And it is so good. And how do I say it? It's so good. It's so good. Because it is. It's beautiful. There is literally everything in this mix. So there are these beautiful, look at that rondelle. That's big, you guys. That is big. And the big boys, speaking of big, these big boys, these might be my favorite, but I don't know. It's so hard to choose. These are so beautiful. There are tons of these kind of like disco ball. Look how big. I love the big. I'm all about the big ones. And there are so many different, look at all the variety. That variety is awesome. Like, you can have sparkle for days with this. And this guy, I've been looking, I keep picking this one up. I am such a fan of this kind of glittery beautifulness. I keep him to the top just so that I can pick him up and look at him. And then you've got these awesome ceramic beads. These are some of my favorites too. And I've got tons of these in this mix. Aren't they awesome? I thought they were really, really cool. So there are lots of glass rondelles in different sizes and colors. Lisa says, are the beads by the pound available for purchase? Yes, ma'am, they are. They are on the website right now. So the Irish green, this one that you're looking at right here, is available, and the Multicolor Mania is also available as well. And I'm telling you guys, super limited supply, because these are going to fly out the door. Look at the elephant. Okay, so can we just talk about the elephants for a second? So elephants with their trunks up are super lucky. And then you add in this like Irish green, and as far as I'm concerned, that kind of doubles your luck, right? To have an elephant with his trunk up, and he's in this Irish green that's just the most lucky color ever. Yeah, so I'm feeling it, you guys. I'm feeling it. There are so many beautiful beads to choose from. And you could sit and sort these out. And I almost did that. In fact, I may do that later and take a picture and post it for you guys just to see like all of the different beads. I don't know if you guys watch Beadalon's Facebook Lives, but Meredith Roddy, she's a good friend of mine and a designer for Beadalon with me. And she loves to sort Like, you have to sort the findings, you have to sort the beads. She would go crazy over this, and I kind of feel her on it. I kind of want to separate it all out and just like see all of the different shapes and sizes. So you're getting a good look at the beads by the pound, and this is a full pound. Don't think that I've got more than a pound here. This really is the entire pound, and it's a ton of beads. So if you're ever wondering like what does a pound amount to, that's this. All right, so we're gonna create a really easy necklace, and we're gonna mix it up and use a bunch of the beads from the beads by the pound for this. So I'm gonna kind of sit this to the side. You're still gonna have it in the shot, but it does take up the whole shot. So let's kind of move it over here just a little bit. All right, so we're gonna be using some Indian leather for today's project, and you're gonna need 2 pieces of this, or 4, depending on how you want to work it out. Okay, so the Indian leather, this is 1mm leather. This is from Beadalon, and you can get this over on Jesse James Beads. This is this like light tan color, and it's the perfect size to go through all of the beads, and I've tried it. So I'm not I'm not joking. This really does go through all of the beads, which I love a leather cord that you can put through beads, right? Because a lot of times leather cord is great big, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but sometimes large hole beads are hard to come by. So it's cool when the leather is small enough to fit. So you're going to need 2 pieces of your leather cord for this, and one of the pieces is 65 inches long and one of them is 75 inches long. And I know that seems like a lot, but it's because we're going to double these up. So that's why I say if you wanted to do 4 short pieces, you could definitely do it that way, but we're just going to double ours up, okay? So I'm going to find the end, and originally I had included some hardware in this materials list where I was gonna tie this on to a jump ring, and you know what? I've changed my mind since then, and so I'm gonna give you 2 different options for how you can work out your necklace here. So I'm just gonna find the middle of both of these pieces, and let's see here. Get a knot in mine. All right, so I do want to find the middle, so bring down your ends together, okay? And then find the middle and fold over, okay? So we've got both pieces folded over. And originally what my plan was, I'm going to put the 2 ends together, right, and create a little loop here. Originally what I was going to do, I was just going to tie an overhanded knot onto a 6mm jump ring, and you totally can do that. That's fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. That's the way we were going to do it. And so just to kind of give you an idea of how that would work, I'll show you, okay? Because I don't want to leave you like with questions about this, particularly with the materials list. So all I would have done is I would have just taken my two ends and pushed them through this jump ring, right? And then just tied a knot here, or just thread the jump ring on, right, to both strands and tied an overhanded knot. But I've decided I don't want to do that. I have slept since then, so I've decided I'm not going to do that. So I have the middle. I'm going to pinch that with my fingers. I'm going to come down here and find the ends. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to thread the clasp directly on. So we're going to start with the loop, and I'm going to thread that onto both pieces of the leather and bring it to the middle. Okay, so pretty much the same thing, except that we're not going to be opening and closing a jump ring for this. Let me make sure that I have my strands nice and even before we go on, which I know is a little difficult for you to see since it's out of the shot, but if you'll give me just a second, I will get back to the knot that we're going to tie. So we're going to tie a moose knot, and I'll show you how to do that. Instead of an overhanded knot, I just feel like a different kind of knot would look better with this. Okay, so I have it nice and even. I've got both strands of my leather going directly through the loop. Okay, we're completely foregoing the jump ring here. So this is going directly through the loop, And what we want to do, we want to gather all these up, and we're going to cut a shorter piece of leather. This might be a little bit on the long side. So I'm talking 4 or 5 inches of your leather, okay? And you're going to have leather scraps. So this is a good way to use up your scraps. So what we're going to do is we're going to tie a moose knot or a noose knot. It's whichever one, and you can Google either one and the technique for this will come up, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay this across all of the strands, right? And I'm leaving myself a little bit of a tail here. I've got a couple, about 1.5 inches of my tail. I'm going to take this part and wrap it around all of the strands about 3 times. Okay? All the way around 3 times. So I'm just making kind of a coil out of my leather. Now I'm going to take the end and I'm going to go down through the coil. So you don't want to pull that coil tight because you want to be able to slip the tail end of your leather. See where I stuck it down through there? I know it's kind of hard to see because my thumb is in the way, but I'm trying to hold everything in place. So I took the tail end and stuck it back down this direction, and now I have the other end down here, and I need to go the other direction with it. So taking this end, and I'm just going to slide it through all of those, and you might have to wiggle, finesse just a little bit until you can get that tail through there. See, so now I've got my tail through there. Now what I want to do is I want to take both of the ends of the leather and pull them, and it's going to create a knot, right? And this is a sliding knot. Believe it or not, that is a sliding knot. It's a little bit different than the one that we did in the orange necklace and bracelet. And this is actually my favorite out of the 2 knots. This one to me just seems to be a little bit easier once you practice it, but it's totally up to you because they both work in this situation. So what I want to do is I want to slide that knot down here next to the clasp. And if you wanted to, you could add a little drop of glue right here on the bundle, slide the knot over the glue, and then you want to take your 2 ends and pull tight. Oh, well, I pulled that one too tight. That's okay because we're going to trim it off anyway. Okay. Pull it down nice and tight, and now you're going to trim off your tail. And if you've added glue, you're in extra good shape here, but it's not necessary really, to be completely honest with you. Okay, so now we've attached directly to our clasp, and we don't need any jump rings. We don't have to worry that our jump rings are going to pop open or anything like that. So this is going to make a little bit sturdier of a design. So Julie says, I use a straw when I make these knots so it creates a tunnel to pull the ends through. Yes, I do that sometimes too, and I didn't have one here on hand because you can do it either way. The straw works, you guys. It really does work. It makes things so much easier. And if you guys have the large crimp connectors, you know what I'm talking about, the large ones for your artistic wire, those work too. So if you've got those on hand, definitely. Otherwise, you can do it just like I did it, and we're going to do it again at the end because we do have to connect our other end of our necklace when we get finished. Okay, so you'll get to see that knot again if you missed it the first time. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to pull the strands out and figure out which 2 strands go together, right? So you want your short strands to go together and your long strands to go together. That's important. Okay, so separate these out. All right, now we're going to start with the short strands. And so I'm taking the long strands and I'm just going to bring those over here to the left. And we're going to use our short strands to create the first layer of our necklace. And this is so easy, you guys. This is super, super easy. All you have to know how to do for this is just to tie an overhanded knot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take both strands, and one of the strands I'm going to thread a bead onto. And I'm going to bring that bead down to pretty close to the clasp, right? And then I'm going to pinch the 2 strands together, and then I'm just going to tie an overhanded knot. And you can do this a couple of different ways. You can fill this up with 3 or 4 beads or just 1 bead. It's totally up to you. The look is going to be different depending on how you do it. And you can pinch this and make it really tight so that the leather lays across the surface of the bead nice and tight. Or you can leave it open so that there is wiggle room, that bead can move around, and you can really get lots of movement and shine from your necklace. I like mine to be a little loose, so I'm going to leave mine open, and then all I'm going to do is just tie an overhanded knot with both strands, and then pull that knot down as close as you want it, right? Just use your fingers to kind of wiggle that knot into the knot shape that you want. You don't have to pull really hard on this. This Indian leather is really soft and supple, and it will grab onto itself. So don't feel like you have to pull really hard on it. It's gonna naturally grab onto itself. So you don't have to tie a crazy knot. All right, so for the next bead, see how I've got this upper strand has the bead on it and the lower strand doesn't have anything. So I like to alternate. You don't have to alternate if you don't want to. Now I'm gonna go with this bottom strand, and I'm gonna add the next bead to the bottom strand. And I'm just gonna thread on one of my beautiful beads. And I am trying to be as organic with this as possible, meaning I'm not really working up a pattern, okay? If you struggle with that, I do have a kind of a weird solution for you. All right, and again, just bringing my overhanded knot, just kind of moving it down as close as I want it to be. Okay, so I know a lot of people, particularly creative types, we have a really hard time. I'm just gonna keep going while we're talking, okay? So I'm just gonna switch to the next strand, and I'm gonna thread on a bead. So like I was saying, I know that a lot of us tend to struggle with asymmetrical designs. Sometimes creative types have a really hard time making things asymmetrical, and sometimes we really struggle with making things random. That can be very difficult, right? You think you're being random, and then the next thing you know, you look down and you actually have a pattern, and it happens without you really knowing it. So there is a trick that you can do, and it is so easy and so ridiculous, but it will help you. So you lay all your beads out on a tray just like this, and then you take a bead mat, another bead mat, and cover them up, right? And just don't look at them, and just stick your hand underneath there, and whatever comes out, that's the next bead you're going to use, right? I know that seems really silly, but if you do that a few times, eventually your brain starts to accept the whole random thing that is happening. And you may have to even fight the urge to, you guys are laughing. It's funny, right? It is funny. It's kind of silly. But I promise that if you will do it 2 or 3 times, that way, as silly as that seems, your brain will start to accept that whole random thing. And so you fight the urge to stick the bead back in there because you're like, oh, I don't want to use that one. Let's pick another one, right? If you fight the urge to do that and just keep going, it makes it easier after 3 or 4 times to do it without covering your beads up. Totally silly, I know, but mark my words, it works. It's training a new pathway. You're using different little neuron paths in your brain. And sometimes the silliest things like that are what it takes to do that. All right, so you can see we're just kind of alternating on the strands, tying the knots down. I love the finished look of this, and it is so easy to do, but it looks beautiful even in a single strand of this all by itself looks really beautiful. Making it a multi-strand design just kind of ups the beauty on it, in my opinion. Just like more is more for sure. Bringing that one down. Okay, now I'm just going to tie an overhanded knot. I loop around my fingers and then bring the tail ends through. Okay. But another thing that you can do with this exact design, instead of making a multi-strand or a single-stranded necklace with this, is, and you can definitely do this with the beads by the pound, is you can make one really long strand of this, right? And then use it as a wrap. So make it a wrap bracelet or make it a wrap necklace, and you don't have to worry about measuring out the different lengths on the multi-strands, right? So if you just make one really, really long strand, you can wrap it around as many times as you want to. And that makes things a little bit easier. Instant gratification jewelry, you guys. That's where it's at, I'm telling you. All right, so just adding on some more beads. Okay, tying my knot and just bringing the knot down. And when you're finished with the strand, sometimes depending on how everything lays and how it looks, after I have knotted all the beads on the strand that I want, I will go back in and I will add beaded dangles to each one of the sections, right? So just for instance, this little guy here, if you had 3 or 4 beads here, you could do a few little beads on a head pin and then put those on jump rings and put them in between. So you had a bead, a jump ring with a dangle, a bead, a jump ring with a dangle, and a bead, all in one little section knotted together like that. And then you've got even more movement to this. So there's a lot of different ways you can switch this up. You can just add beaded dangles to the empty strand, right? You've got a strand with a bead on it and then a strand that doesn't have anything on it. You could add your dangles to that, or you can add beads to both strands, and that looks really cool too. If you take 2 beads, and let me just show you an example of this because I think this looks really neat when you work it out this way. So if we had 2 beads, right, and then knotted them together so that they lay staggered in there. So you could do 2 or you could do 3 so that you had another one on this strand and it was a little triangle of the beads. So really, all you got to know how to do to create this simple project is just how to make an overhanded knot. And then you can change it up a million different ways and get so many different looks. And just imagine how many pieces of jewelry with this beads by the pound. So in my opinion, that's a pretty good value. The beads by the pound, I could make so many of these necklaces. I could do an entire booth, right? And I could do one whole section of a booth with just one of the beads by the pound. And everything would look different, right? Because of all of the different bead choices that there are. So that's pretty darn good in my opinion. I love the beads by the pound. I know a lot of you were missing them while they were gone and we're super happy to see them back. So, all right. We're getting close to the end of the first layer. And then we will move on to the second layer and we'll kind of speed through it. I'll do a little less chatting. Yeah, right. Me less chatty? I don't think so. But I will go through that part a little bit. Oh, those two ended up on the same. I don't like that. I'll go through that part quickly so that we can take the ends together. So the one thing that you do need to keep in mind is if you're going to do a moose knot like we did with the beginning of the necklace here, you want to leave yourself about 4 inches of length at the end so that you have plenty of room, because you're actually going to double this up, and I'll show you when we get to the end why it's important to leave that extra room. So I'm going to add, let me add 2 more beads if I can, and then we'll talk about that. I like this one. Still struggling to make it random. I'm just, yeah. Okay. Actually, one of my strands is getting a little short here. Hi, you're not late, but that's a good little cue for me to welcome everybody in. So for those of you who are just joining us, we are creating a multi-strand design using our new Irish green beads by the pound available at jessiejamesbeads.com. We've got the whole pound right here that we're playing with, and that, you guys, is a full pound. And there is the Irish green that is available and multicolor mania that you can also get over on the website. So if you're interested in the beads by the pound, I would stock up because they are going to sell out really, really quickly. Everybody's been waiting on those. We are just creating a really easy necklace with some Indian leather. It's 1mm leather, and we have 2 strands. Well, it's actually 4 when you double it up, but we're just tying knots, adding a bead and tying a knot. So we're adding a bead to one of the strands. Just a little recap for everybody if you're just joining us. Okay, so we're down to the end of our first strand, and one of my strands is a little bit longer than the other. That's okay. We want to be sure that we do have a good amount of leather left here, because we have to thread on the other end of our clasp, right? We're going to thread on the toggle. Not yet, because we need to finish the other strand first, but we're going to thread that on, and then we're going to go across 4 strands, right? And then trim off our ends. So you need to be sure that you've got enough to have ends, because you do have to make a loop out of your leather. And I might have enough room to add 1 more bead. That's probably pushing it, but I will, just because I like living on the edge, right? All right, so I've just threaded on 1 bead, and I'm going to loop around and create 1 last knot. So I've got 1 more bead here on this end. Living on the edge. I may regret that decision later, but you know, right now it seems like a good idea. Okay, so I definitely am going to leave that now, because this 1 strand is getting pretty short. So 1 whole strand is ready to go, right? This is going to be the shorter strand of the necklace. So now we're ready to move on to the other strand. So I'm just going to take the finished strand, move it over here to the left, and then we're just going to repeat the entire process, bringing on some of these gorgeous beads. And I am going to try very hard not to repeat the same beads that I've already got on the strand, because I don't want the same beads to lay together, and that has a tendency to happen, and it's really just by accident that it happens. So I really want to try my best not to thread on the same beads, so that everything is really mixed up, right? I want to keep it all mixed up. All right, so with the 2 strands, again, I've just thread on 1 bead, okay? And I'm just creating that overhanded knot. I loop around my fingers and take the tail ends through and pull, okay? And then I use my fingers to guide that knot down to where I want it to go, and then pull it down. Don't have to pull super tight. Kathy says, is that a green metal leaf I see? You got a good eye. Yes. Look at that guy. So the mixes are full of everything, you guys. There are tassels, there are focals. There's a little bit of everything in your beads by the pound, which it's like a treasure hunt, right? You get your beads, and then you get to go through it and find all of the treasures that are in your mix. Everybody's mix is a little bit different, and no 2 mixes are exactly the same. So if you get more than 1 of the beads by the pound, you're going to get 2 different mixes. It's just a lot of fun for those of us who the same reasons. I feel like, whoops, those were, no, they're not. There we go. For the same reasons, I think that I really love the Magical Mystery Bead Box is part of the reason that I enjoy the beads by the pound so much, right? Because all of the picking out is already done. And then my job is just to enjoy going through it all and looking at all of the beautiful things that are included. And that's a big draw for a lot of people, right? To have somebody do the hard part, which is picking it all out. And then you just get to reap the benefits of it. That's my favorite part. So Elise wants to know the starting leather. I had 2 strands of the 1mm leather. I had 1 strand that was 65 inches long and 1 strand that was 75 inches long, and we found the middle. So we just took those and folded those in half. So you can do 4 strands if you want to, and 2 that are the same and 2 that are about 10 inches longer. But I just found that it was easier just to use 2 strands and fold them in half, but totally up to you. All right, so we're just going to keep going. And for those of you who I definitely reintroduced the project, but I forgot to mention that we are having a giveaway. I've got a strand of the beautiful Into the Mystic, the Forest Green Opal strand. I've got that strand, and I also have a beautiful heart toggle clasp that is brand new, not even on the website just yet, I don't think. And so that is our giveaway. So if you want to enter today's giveaway, in the comments, tell us which of the Jesse James beads are your absolute favorite. And there are a ton to choose from. There are boho beads, there are tassels, those count. There are the Chi-Chi glass, the ceramic beads, so many different Jesse James beads. So tell us in the comments which ones are your absolute favorite for your chance to enter and win. And I will have the winner posted. So all of those entries, I will put those in a drawing, and then I will draw from all of the names, everybody who posted their favorite Jesse James bead. And I will have a winner posted by 4 p.m. Eastern time. And then I will reach out to you. So if you are the winner, keep an eye on the Jesse James Beads Facebook page and the Secret Stash page, because I'll post it in both places, okay? Keep an eye on that, and then I will reach out to you to get the best address to reach you at so that I can ship out your goodies, and I will ship those out first thing tomorrow. So you don't have to wait on those. Okay. All right. So just doing the same thing. We're adding our beads, working through, and this strand is working up pretty quickly. I'm trying very, very hard not to thread on the same beads from the, in the same order as I did on the other side. And this 1mm cord is going through every single bead that I've picked up, right? 1mm leather cord is where it's at. The 0.5 and the 1mm are the best for fitting through 95% of your beads, unless you've got gemstone beads or freshwater pearls, or you're really going to need a small bead stringing material for. This leather is going to be your best friend. All right, I'm being a little picky about the beads now. I'm going to need to cover them up with the bead mat so I can't see them. So I'll stop being so picky about what I put on the strands. There we go. Okay. And I'm alternating the strands, right? I'm trying to alternate so that one's on the top and one's on the bottom. These are the same. I'm just going to leave it. So Donna says the ceramic Jesse James beads are her favorite, but the bohos are a close second. I feel that way myself. The bohos are definitely, they hold the top spot in my heart for sure. But if you were to take the bohos out of the mix and say, okay, that's everybody's favorite, you can't pick the boho, I would say the ceramic beads are probably the next in line as far as my favorites are concerned. But I don't know. I love a good disco ball bead, right? Look at that. I cannot. The shimmer and shine from that is just so good. It is so good. And it looks good even in like unnatural light, like when you're inside. You know how sometimes your jewelry looks much better outside than it does inside? The disco ball beads, they look good no matter where you are. You don't have to have those beautiful fluorescent department store lights. Look at this guy. I Love. Look, see, this is what I would consider a treasure out of the beads by the pound. Like, you're going to find things in there that you're just like, wow, I can't believe that was included. That's a really beautiful lampwork bead that, yeah, good stuff, you guys. It's good stuff. Ooh, yeah, Kay says cage beads. I love the cage beads too. That's another one of my, it's so hard to choose, right? I've asked you guys for an impossible, I asked an impossible task out of you to pick out your favorite. Every one that you guys say, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that one's my favorite too. Cage beads are fantastic. That's definitely, cage beads and boho beads definitely say Jesse James beads. You know, I can spot them a mile away and I'm like, yep, there's another Jesse James beads fan. Those are my people. All right, being picky. Need to not be being so picky, but I can't help it. I try to be random. I really, really try. Yeah, Kathy says the disco ball beads bring so much sparkle to a piece. They really do. They really, really do. And one of my other favorites from Jesse James beads, they're all my favorites, let's be honest, but another one of my favorites, and this is all about quality, is Jesse James beads. When it comes to check glass, the quality on the check glass is top notch, and that's a big deal to me, and I'm sure that it's a big deal to you guys as well. But working in the industry for as long as I have and being around as many different beads as I have, I can tell you that there is a huge difference in check glass quality. Sometimes you'll get batches, depending on where you shop for your beads, you'll get a batch of check glass beads and the quality is just not good, right? I mean, they're drilled funny. They're just not good. But this is recycled glass, you guys. Is that not awesome? It feels like beach glass. It's just really, really beautiful. One of my favorites. Of course, they're all my favorites. But as the check glass, like I was saying about the check glass, just kind of chit-chatting as we go, right? Because you guys have seen me tie these knots a million times now, so I can just chit-chat. Check glass comes in a large variety of quality. And Jesse James beads, like the quality of check glass that they have is top notch. I never get any that are drilled bad, right? Where they're just half drilled or they have a crooked drill in them. See, like this table cut check glass, that's a beautiful bead. The quality on that is really, really good. So the bead team at Jesse James Beads, they really, you know, are exceptional. They don't take junk when it comes to check glass beads. They want to give you guys the best of the best, and I can definitely vouch for that because I have handled so much check glass over the past 10 years. It's ridiculous, and I've seen it all. So I can definitely say that Jesse James Beads check glass is where it's at. And it comes in the beads by the pound mixes, and you can just buy check glass from the site, which is really awesome too. All right, we're getting down to the end here, and then we are going to tie that knot again so that I can show it to you guys on the other side. Because this side, right, we're working with loose ends on this side. We're not working with the doubled leather like we did to start with. So it's a little bit different. Still pretty much the same technique. But you do have to handle it just a little bit differently. Tammy says, I can't pick a favorite. I like them all. Well, you know what, Tammy? That's okay. You can still be entered into our drawing because you're being honest about it. Right? Just because you can't pick one, I'm not going to exclude you from our drawing. All right, getting down to the end. Oh, that was a lot of space there. All right, I'm going to add one more bead, and then we are going to create our knot to put this on our clasp. Okay. All right, so there's our last bead, and I'm leaving myself a little bit of a tail here, right? That's important. I've got a tail on both ends. So we want to take the two ends together, and you guys will get to see this on the bust at the end to see the nice tier of this necklace. The effect is not quite the same when you're looking at it just down on the mat. Jamie says, does it count if we say our favorite beads are the ones with holes in them? I think that counts, right? That's you're being all inclusive, right? Okay. Otherwise, it's just a ball, and that doesn't count. Okay, so I'm taking all 4 of my ends here, and down here where we folded the leather in half, we didn't have all of that, right? We didn't have all of this extra leather to work with. So down here on this end, it is going to be a little bit different, not by much, but it will be a little bit different. So what we want to do is we want to take all 4 ends instead of the 2 ends that we had, and we want to thread these on to our clasp, and they are different lengths, which is just kind of the nature of a multi-stranded necklace. Okay, now this is why it was really important that we left ourselves a big long tail, because I have to have enough of this, right, to bring it over, right, to fold it in half, just like we did on the other end, but with our end pieces. And I don't want to catch this last knot in our moose knot that we're going to make. So I have to bundle all of this together. This is twice the amount of leather that we bundled on the other end, right? So I'm going to lay that out just like that, okay? And we're going to create another one of the moose knot, noose knot, whatever you want to call it. Either one is Googleable. And we're going to take a piece of our leather, give yourself about 4 or 5 inches of this, okay? And hold all of your ends together. Lay your leather piece across all of them. Give yourself a little bit of a tail here, okay? And then we're going to wrap around all of those strands about 4 times, okay? Then we want to take the tail end and go back through the other direction. You got to be careful because you're using so many different strands this time around. Don't get it mixed in with the other tail ends of your leather. So you can see it peeking out just right there. I'm actually going to come in with a piece of, or not a piece of, but my chain nose pliers there to hold on to it. Okay, so that's the tail. I want to keep it away from the other guys. The other end, we want to do the same thing. We just want to go underneath all of those loops and out the other direction, right? And if you're not using a straw or any kind of tube here, it is going to take a little finessing. So I'm just going to kind of lift mine up off of all those strands to give myself room, right, to tuck that tail in there and out the other side. Okay, and then I'm going to pull it. All right, then I'm going to, whoops, am I pulling the wrong ones? It's hard to tell. Now I let go. There it is. All right, so now you just want to pull both ends and tighten it down. And you want to get as close to the clasp as possible, right? And again, if you need to add a little drop of glue here and then slide that knot down over the top of it, that's going to help to secure everything. Tighten it up just a little bit more. You don't want to pull it too tight, right? You don't want to just yank it out of place, but you do want to be sure that you've got it secure. Now we're going to trim off all of this extra nonsense because we don't need any of this. And if you've added glue and if your knot is nice and secure, you can trim this as close to that knot as possible, right? So when you get finished, you're going to have a nice clean look here at the end. There we go. We've trimmed off. I think I was a little wonky right there, but totally fine. Okay, So now there's no extra hardware. We just have our toggle clasp directly attached to our pieces of leather, right? We don't have to worry about jump rings. We don't have to worry that this is going to get stuck on something and then we're going to pull it and the jump ring is going to come undone. Really, really cool. So there you go. We've got our beautiful multi-strand. Well, it's just a 2-strand, but you seriously could do multi-strand. Like you could do 3 strands, 4 strands, as many strands of this as you wanted to, or one really long strand and wrap it around as a wrap bracelet or a wrap necklace. And look at all that I have left, right? We made a 2-strand necklace and I still have, like I haven't even made a dent in the beads by the pound. There are so many beads left over. When I said you could do a booth with your beads by the pound, I was not kidding. You seriously could. Imagine all of the earrings you could make with a pound of these beads. You could make, I don't know, I can't even begin to imagine. I should try that and see how many pairs of earrings I could get out of one beads by the pound. I'm sure that it would be a crazy amount. So lots and lots of gorgeous beads left over. And last but not least, I am going to give you a really sneak peek. Whoa, I'm sorry. Right before I bring you up to show you the necklace on the bust, this is that beautiful forest green opal into the Mystic Strand that somebody, one lucky winner, is going to get today, and the beautiful heart clasp to go with it. So if you entered, definitely keep an eye on the Jessie James Beads Facebook page. Keep an eye on the Secret Stash group, and I will announce the winner at 4 p.m. Eastern this afternoon, and then I will be reaching out to you. So if you entered and you see that you've won, check your messages because I'll be reaching out to get to you, okay? I'm going to put this on a bust, and then I'm going to turn you around so you can take a look at it. And then I will let you guys get on with your day. Move the lights out of the way. All right, you guys ready to see big reveal? So here is our necklace, and it's laying a little crooked on the bust, but you get the idea, right? So many different ways you could work this up, and you could even do some stringing layers in between here, right? Or on the outside. Like you could make this a crazy statement piece necklace. You could add all of your little beaded dangles to this like we talked about before. You could double up all of the beads in all of the little spaces. So there are a ton of options with just this one simple design. And like I showed you on the clasp, all you need is just the knowledge of the noose knot, the moose knot, or you can just do an overhanded knot and tie it directly to your clasp, and you are good to go. Just add a little drop of glue and it's set, right? It's nice and secure. All right, so that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me this, I almost said it's Monday. Thank goodness it's not though, right? On this Thursday, kind of mid-morning. It's early afternoon here. I don't know what time it is where you guys are, but I still feel like it's morning, even though I know it's like lunchtime. Have a wonderful rest of the day. You guys, if you are interested in the beads by the pound, go check them out on the Jessie James Beads website. The green, Irish green is there, as well as the Multicolor Mania, which is gorgeous. Grab those up. They are going to be gone in a heartbeat. I know it for sure. Keep an eye on this site for the new clasps that may be coming out very, very soon. And don't forget to check the page. I will be announcing our winner later this afternoon. You guys have a wonderful rest of the day. I will see you tomorrow on Sarah Ellis Designs at noon for another project. And then again on Monday. We're doing Mondays now, Maker Mondays here at Jessie James Beads at 7 p.m. Eastern. So enjoy your afternoon. If I don't see you again, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye, guys.